everyone. We're back here live at KubeCon. It is day 2. Well, it depends how you count, because KubeCon's funny, because we have like this day 0, all of the satellite conferences, but we don't really, that's a 0. Yesterday was day 1. Today, therefore, is day 2, though some of us have been here 3 days.
Yes.
It's fuzzy math. Anyway, though, we're still live here. My next 2 guests are with Intuit. And I know what you're saying. Intuit, Cloud Native Computing Foundation, what are they doing here? Well, I'm going to let them explain it, but there's a really good story behind it. Let me introduce you to them. We have Lisa Marie, not Presley, Lisa Marie Namphy, who, if you've watched our previous Techstrong KubeCon coverages, it's not her first time here. And then we have Mr. Patel, and I'm blanking your first name. Jamil Patel, also from Intuit here. And guys, welcome.
Thank you so much. It's great to be back. It's always good to see you.
Actually, always good to see you as well. So, I kind of opened the door with the question, Intuit, what are you doing here?
Yeah, well, that first day of the conference that you talk about, nothing zero about it. We actually started one of the colos. It's the ArgoCon, because as you know, Intuit is the creator of the Argo project and donated it to the CNCF. Started that conference with tons of help from the Acuity and CodeFresh and Red Hat folks, and now it's one of the most popular co-located events.
Octopus Deploy.
Octopus Deploy now, yes, that's true. That's true. So yeah, and those, we are all still incredibly active in the Argo community, and ArgoCon is one of the most popular co-located events. It was packed on the first day.
Well,
of the
Argo
conference.
CD, I believe, is now the number 3 project in CNCF, right behind Cube itself, and then Hotel over here.
Yeah, and there was a stat at ArgoCon, 2/3 of all Kubernetes users have Argo CD installed.
They just republished, actually, as of yesterday, Dan just talked about it, 97% are using Argo. It was a crazy stat, which almost says that more people are using Argo than Kubernetes. So that math we need to sort out, but people are using Argo. People love Argo, particularly Argo CD. So yeah, no, it's great. It was very popular. But to your question, open source is, we're on the platform team.
Yes.
And open source is pretty core to a lot of the work we're doing. And we don't just, consume open source, we also do build and contribute back. Things like the Argo project, the Numa Proj, which is our Kubernetes native event stream platform, and all of this stuff we consume, I would say, more than 100 open source projects or contribute to. So, we've built a little open source program office. We show up at events like this, and I just had a conversation with someone who walks to our booth, about the 100th conversation I've had, when they're like, what is Intuit doing here? I didn't think of Intuit as a technology company, and I definitely didn't understand how important you were to open source and vice versa. And we've won End User of the Year award twice from the CNCF here at KubeCon, twice.
Very cool.
So yeah, we're very proud of the work we do in open source.
So I, of course, knew this before we started the conversation today. But when you think about it, one of the things that makes the CNCF successful is the mix. It's not all technology vendors. It's not all, and I don't mean this in a bad way, geeky, dev or ops or,
a lot of end users.
But it's also end user organizations that, quite frankly, have the resources to dedicate people and time and money to open source projects, and instead of kind of keeping it for themselves, which is kind of the old way of doing it, become good community members here, because they're vital to the mix, right? At the end of the day, you're not here to sell your open source software. You contribute it. Because there are other, for instance, I was interviewing the folks at Broadcom VMware earlier today. They're the 3rd largest contributor to code to Kubernetes. And a lot of people don't think that because they think Kubernetes, hypervisor, they're separate. But no, they're the third largest contributor to code there. Now, and I commend them for that. But let's face it, they're feathering their own nest, right? You know what I mean? And one can say that even if they're not doing it for that being the only reason, one can still say, well, but they're selling software, right?
Right.
Intuit, different thing. You're doing it because it's making what you guys do better, but you want everyone else to be able to have access to that as well, because you're not
and to be able to contribute to it.
And well,
help
that
make
helps.
It better, yeah.
Well, it's like paying it forward, right? When you contributed to the community, hopefully others follow, and it's all that karma wheel that goes round and round, right?
Yeah. And paying it forward also has its dividends. Like for Argo project, Red Hat is now contributing as well, and they've created cool features. There's an MCP server introduced, and now we are also leveraging from the community. So like if we were to do all this ourselves, it's all our resources, versus now we are getting back from the community. So the dividends come in, it just takes some time.
Absolutely,
yeah,
it does. And that's karma, right? It goes round and round, but it does pay off.
Yeah.
If you don't mind though, I want to shift. I'm shifting. No, but AI.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, everyone, well, not just this time. For the last 2-3 years, we all lead with AI. And I think just as Kubernetes itself is maturing a little bit, I'm not saying AI is mature, we still have a long way to go. But we are starting to see definitive patterns in how we use AI, where we use AI, who is using AI. Let's talk a little bit about Intuit and AI.
Absolutely, Jamil.
Yeah.
Has a lot of stories to tell.
Yeah, one of the things like our, mission in our mission statement, we have 3 statements. We have less work or no work, more money, and high confidence. Like we have these 3 statements. And as we think about AI, like it helps you make more money, it helps you do less work, and it gives you more confidence. And it's very critical to our consumer products that they have AI in them, and that lets our consumers get all of these things. Now, when it translates to like in engineering organizations, there's like, we think about it in 3 areas. Since we are all like in the platform engineering space, there's one is like, how can AI make platform engineers more productive and make infrastructure awesome? The second area is how can it help general application developers be faster? So how do developers go faster with all the coding tools and the tools they have? And the third one is more around like how are we using AI where we are giving developers ways to build AI applications for customers, because there are new tools for building AI, and our developers need to know how to use these tools and how to get faster from an app that did not have AI to now having AI in that app. So for all these 3 areas, we are investing heavily, and maybe I can give you some examples for each one of the areas.
I was going to ask you to, so go ahead.
So for the platform engineering side, this is where like Kubernetes is hard. That's why platform engineers are paid so much. Now with AI coming into the space, they are actually going to get more and more productive. For Argo CD, for example, we added Argo CD Assist. And that is when people used to ping our platform engineers and say like, what is wrong with my deployment? Now AI can just build a summary first, and if the summary doesn't work for them, they can still ping them. There is build failure analysis, where every time a build fails for a developer who doesn't know what's going on behind the scenes, they get a summary of like what is failing. And sometimes there's also remediation, where it tries to remediate the fact and developers don't even know what is happening. We call that done for you experiences, where things are done for you and you don't even have to worry about things. So that's on the how AI is helping platform engineers.
Let me stop you right there on this platform engineering thing. So, we started a new site since last year when I interviewed you. Hopefully it's on there, platformengineering.com, if you see on the edge, right? Platformengineering.com, because platform engineering, I think, has emerged as its own discipline. Yes, it's closely tied into DevOps. Yes, it's closely tied into cloud native, but it's its own thing. When we look at platform engineering, though, I think 2 years ago, 3 years ago, if I asked someone who claimed to be a platform engineer, what are you doing? Kubernetes is hard, and we're going to make Kubernetes
Easy.
not easy. I don't think it ever gets easy, but manageable.
Yeah.
But I think if you ask most platform engineers today what the mission is, they'll tell you IDP, Internal Development Platform, right? Because that seems to be where the action is in platform engineering, and also a lot of where the AI is going. I'm wondering what you're seeing as a real-life platform guy at Intuit.
Yeah, so Intuit got lucky. We invested in an IDP way early, before Backstage came out. Every third person I talked to at KubeCon, they're like Backstage, 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 because the IDPs serve as a web layer to all their abstractions. So making Kubernetes easy is through abstractions, and where do you put them? You can't put them on Kubernetes itself, because then you would have to learn that. So instead, they have an abstraction on top of that, which is IDPs. Most IDPs are going to have an AI assistant moving forward, and that's going to be your platform engineering team's first line of defense. And if that AI is not able to answer or do things for your general developer, that's when you go to the platform engineers, versus today we live in a world where like the first choice might be platform engineers. So then I think, IDP and AI together, like in one platform, is going to be your first line of platform engineering defense. And you'll see more and more vendors come out. You'll see the Kubernetes ecosystem getting well integrated into it. Right now it has all the popular projects, but you'll see a lot more projects going into it, because once you have an IDP, you have to integrate Jira, you have to integrate GitHub, you want to integrate Argo, and the list never ends.
No,
so it's an integration.
But I think we learned something from like APIs, right? Which is, you don't want to do a one-off for every single one of these projects or every single one of these products that you want to plug into your IDP. I think with agentic AI, we have the ability with, let's say, an MCP server to not repeat the mistakes and sins of the past, right? We could do that very quickly. Is that something Intuit is looking at?
Yeah, and that's where, like, if you look, I would say 5 years ahead, I would also say, like, the IDP experience might also shift left. We're thinking about shifting left, and a lot of these experiences are happening within the IDE itself. So when you are developing, you also have a chat agent, a chat window with MCPs enabled. So why wait until deploy and then asking the questions? Like, you're coding, you're asking the questions in the side, like, why will this build pass? And your MCP, like your IDE, then call the AI MCP, try to run it in your cluster or tell you information about your clusters, and before you even push the code out, you will know like what's wrong with your code. So, there's a shift left happening where you want to alert the developers before they push it to a stage where they need support. Like, things need to be fixed right when they're working on it. And I'm hoping that our tool chains also support that. So you have that chat window that provides you alerts and errors early on. Then you deploy, then your IDP has a chat window that you have alerts and whatnot. And then you have your operations dashboards and those things, those also have those. So like you will have a lot of the companies, their jobs are to unify these assistants, because there's like almost too many these days and they don't talk to each other. So you have to ask the same question here, here, and here and choose the best answer based on which one's the most mature. So, that's kind of what I've seen happening as well.
I get it.
I was going to make some joke about like, okay, everybody stop building dev portals and just, focus on IDPs. But I bet you next year when we're having this conversation, that will probably be a reality, or much closer to.
We'll see.
Yeah.
You know what? This you've said it now. It's out in the universe.
Exactly. Don't need
so
a dev
we'll
portal
come
anymore.
back and get it. So that's AI and developer platforms. Mm-hmm. But there were two other AI use cases for Intuit here.
Yeah. So the other one, which in the last 3 to 4 years, we have seen a 5 years actually, we have seen a 12x increase in developer velocity, and the reason being all of the AI coding tools, there's a boom of that. Right now, the market's changing so rapidly. Every 3 months, there is a vendor. There's Cursor, Augment Code, Gemini, Codex, more to come. And what we adopted early on as a strategy is not to choose one option, but to give developers flexibility. But in addition to the tool, we are providing Intuit code as context to all of these capabilities. So when developers ask how do I write a web plugin, it doesn't tell you just how to write a generic web plugin, it will tell you how to write an Intuit web plugin. And that has been very crucial to our journey, where when our developers ask for help, it has all the Intuitisms baked into it to begin with. So from a code generation perspective, I think I'd advise everyone on the same journey to not focus on the tools, because the tool market is going to change. Acquisitions are going to happen. ChatGPT and the other vendors will release, or OpenAI will release new tools, and your developers are always going to say this is the coolest or that is the coolest, and you can't in a real world support all of them. So I'd see this market will evolve, and ultimately you'll see clear winners. But right now you can focus on making your AI such that it doesn't give generic answers, but it gives your company specific answers as much as possible.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Let's talk about something really important, customers.
Mm-hmm.
How's AI helping you with customers?
So in the customer landscape, there's immense opportunities. So on the QuickBooks land, we have certain agents that help people get paid 5 days faster, and that's very much aligned to our mission of more money. Who doesn't want to get paid faster? It's I do, So there are things that would reconcile your transactions on QuickBooks faster, and that enables business owners to also run their accounting faster. So that could mean vendors are getting paid faster, employees are getting paid faster. So that's on the business side. On the TurboTax side, if you filed taxes with TurboTax last year, it will do Gen AI summary, and it will kind of make you feel more confident that, because TurboTax is a tool, and you file your taxes yourself, you put the documentation. So sometimes you're doubting yourself, did I put everything in the right way? But now AI is going to say, hey, you put this document, but you didn't support it with this other document. That's usually the case. So maybe you're missing to upload your gains on the stock sell or whatever.
Yeah.
And then that's going to make you more confident in terms of being able to confidently say, I filed my taxes right, or I did my accounting right. Or with MailChimp, it's email marketing. Everyone wants help from AI to write emails. It's in there now. It also tells you what is the best time that this person's likely going to open this email. And that is intelligence, where before it was send an email at 9 a.m. That was the norm.
Right.
Now it's send an email to the people when they want it and when they're most likely to open and read this email. And that is a game changer.
Sure is.
And that kind of capability in the hands of a small business owner. If you're a big company, yes, you have those capabilities. But a small business owner being able to personalize up to that extent is magical.
And to stay on top of all the regulations and all the rules. And imagine if somebody suggested, hey, Alan, you're leaving money on the table because you didn't write off all these things, but you can write those off. That's legal.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, ooh, let's do that then. More money for you.
Oh, I love paying more taxes.
Especially unnecessarily.
Excellent stuff. So, it's funny, I was talking to people earlier. Last year we were talking a lot about AI. This year I haven't heard as much, though it's kind of built in now. And but we're still just scratching the surface, right? Mm-hmm. There's so much more that's going to happen here. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And I'm also interested to see how it plays out from an open source perspective. How much of this winds up on that side by the project pavilions, right? Versus inside of commercial products only. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, and the CNCF is working hard. We, as you know, I'm a CNCF ambassador and have been for many years. Over 10 now, I guess I just saw my picture on a slide saying something about 10 years of contributions. So wow, but we do talk to them a lot, and we just had a meeting with them a couple weeks ago, really asking that question, what's your plan with AI? And we had a bunch of projects that we think would be great to be in the CNCF, and then they told us about some stuff we didn't even know about. So the conversations are happening. team. They are talking to the end users, and they're also trying to get, the OSIs get publishing more and more standards all the time, which is really good and really helpful. Agentic is a very big conversation in Kubernetes right now, so that's a hot topic.
Yes.
So we're excited. We're excited to see where it's going.
Yeah, and this morning they announced the AI Bricks project. They're working on K-Agent, the Envoy, like AI gateway with Tetrate and Solo. Those are all like exciting projects. And I don't think AI and Kubernetes are like so separate today, because people are already running a lot of AI workloads on Kubernetes. There's a lot of libraries out there. Now it's just like, it's the same way where the coding agents are like, which ones are gonna be here to stay, and which ones are gonna be just like noise in the space. So we should find out, and this is a great place to know and feel from all the audiences here.
Agreed, agreed. Well, listen, we're probably overtime, to tell you the truth. I want to thank you both for coming here on Techstrong TV. You have an invitation in next year, but let's not wait till next year to catch up.
Thank you. Always love being here. Okay,
All right.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
all right.
Thank you so much.
Intuit, open source dynamos here at KubeCon. We're going to take a break. We'll be back in a minute. Hey everyone, we're back here live on the floor of KubeCon. And it's Wednesday, and I'm going to guess it's about 2 o'clock, right? And we've had an amazing day and a half so far of some great conversations. You probably see behind us people moving in and out. The show floor, as I think I mentioned, is really big this year. Like KubeCon style, not too much on top of each other, but a little bit more concentrated than, like, let's say during COVID when stuff was really spread out. I want to introduce you to our next guest. His name is Sudeep Goswami. Did I get that right? Goswami. Sudeep is the CEO of a company called Traffic Labs, but it's spelled a little funny. We're going to get into it. But first, let's find out more about Sudeep. Welcome, how are you, man?
Yeah, hi Alan, great to be here.
Great to have you. So Sudeep, before we talk about Traffic Labs and KubeCon and all this, let's talk a little bit about you. As I said, you're the CEO here, but you weren't born the CEO at Traffic. Give us a little bit of your journey.
Yeah, so engineer by trade, used to implement technology before I got on the other side and started to build technology and then sell technology. So really kind of dealt with the challenges of day two ops and what users have to do after they buy a certain piece of technology and all the trials and tribulations they have to go through and being able to implement that at scale.
Yep. So I'm going to assume that being that you said that Traffic deals with sort of a day two ops problem, is that what you would think?
Yes, we definitely focus on day two ops for microservices and cloud native infrastructure in general.
Got it. Let's talk about how you went from being how you came to be the CEO at Traffic Labs, right? There's a lot of people out there, of course, who aspire to be CEOs, and having been a CEO now a few times, I don't. But when did you, let's say, take the track and say, you know what, I want to be the CEO?
Well, I'm a problem solver at heart.
Uh-huh.
So for me, it's all about solving problems, whether it's a technical problem or a business problem. So I joined the company as a CRO.
Okay.
And then we had a conversation internally and tried to match my skill sets to what the company needed and the problems that needed to be solved. And the rest is
history, as they say.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's talk about the history of Traffic, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Again, probably a Traffic Labs company that maybe a lot of our folks haven't heard of. As I mentioned, it's spelled a little different. Why don't we start there? How do you spell it?
Yeah, Traffic spelled Traefik. The URL is traffic.io. And the Traffic's claim to fame, it's really around the open source project. When Traffic started almost 10 years ago now, where our founder and now the CTO put out, basically, he's a problem solver as well, He found a problem deploying microservices, found it very painful, so he came up with his own solution, put it out there on GitHub, and overnight it just took off.
So is the open source project called Traffic as well?
Yes, that is called Traffic. Or Traffic, some people know it as Traffic Proxy.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Traffic Proxy.
Traffic Proxy, yeah, absolutely.
And that was in 2016. Now the project has over 3.4 billion with a B downloads.
Wow.
It's got over almost 60,000 GitHub stars. It's got a very vibrant community of active contributors, both inside and outside the company.
I love it.
It's one of the best projects, and people who come to our booth here, they know the brand. The brand is the gopher. That's the brand.
The mascot, if you will.
Mascot, yeah. Exactly. So people are always coming to our booth for the gopher t-shirts.
Got it. It's funny, I'm old enough to remember when Gopher meant something else in the internet. Right before there was a web, we had wide area search, Gopher, and stuff like that.
That's right.
You remember?
That's right,
yep. I just wanted from like a book of housekeeping. Is Traffic a CNCF project or no, just Traffic Labs?
Traffic is not a CNCF project. It is an open source project, and it's got an open core model. And then so it has the open source binary itself, and then there's a secondary binary for all the enterprise features. So we built on top of the open source as the foundation.
Got it. And that, the open core model is one, of course, that's very familiar to everyone here in the open source community, right? It's evolved. So with open source, I'm assuming you have like freemium modules or premium modules that ride on top of the open core, open source one that give you enhanced, capabilities. Let's talk about, what comes in the pure open source one, and then what some of the add-on modules are and what they do.
Yeah, sure. I'll talk about what comes in the add-on modules, but also want to talk about the upgrade process because we've made that extremely user-friendly and seamless. So let's start with the capabilities. In the open source, people can deploy that as a reverse proxy, as a load balancer, and as a router. It auto-discovers all of the microservices that you're running, so you don't have to do that manual work.
Wow.
And that's the core value proposition of the open source that people love. They don't have to deal with kind of finding a microservice by microservice. It automatically does that, creates the routes, so traffic starts flowing to it. Okay, that's the foundation.
And that's in the open source.
That's in the open source. People love that, and a lot of people, for them, that is enough. And then we can give them enterprise support on top of that, so they have the peace of mind for when they do need to call us and get support.
Got it.
Now moving to the paid add-ons.
Premium or premium.
All the additional things which comes with our advanced, another binary, so to speak. People use that. One of the most common use cases for that is security from an authentication and authorization standpoint. So when their microservices need that front door where you can authenticate and authorize users and traffic coming in, that's when you need what's called an API gateway.
Okay.
And that is the most common use case for our paid offering. What we have done is built on top of that, and that API gateway.
So when you say it's an API gateway, it's a API built or that rides on top of the open source core that allows other people to plug in.
Correct.
Okay.
So we have our own API gateway, but there are plugins available on the open source binary that communities can contribute to. So you can pull off of that, and you can add functionality, or you would go with our paid offering that we have written at Traffic Labs and we support. So and that's the most natural path people take.
Got it.
Is the API gateway, and then we have created extensions of that API gateway into developing an AI gateway and an MCP
would that be
gateway.
Sort of an MCP, okay. So that's an MCP gateway.
Yeah, an AI gateway is separate and an MCP gateway is separate.
Really?
Now they have
so
different...
is the AI like A2A, was A2A or
the
something
AI,
different?
Think of the AI gateway as LLM router.
Okay.
So, it does many more things. So at its core, it's routing to different LLM endpoints. While and before it's routing, we also provide a way to enrich the traffic or to guardrail the traffic. So not every query that you send to an LLM should be sent there. Maybe your corporate policies don't allow certain types of content.
Got it.
So we integrated with NVIDIA's safety name guardrails. So before you route the traffic to an LLM, you take it through a set of safety guardrails. Then comes some kind of caching layer. So if you keep asking the same question over and over again, you don't need to consume these expensive tokens. So only then do you route. All of that is offered as part of the AI gateway.
Got it.
MCP gateway is, it requires that as the foundation, but it's not enough. MCP gateway needs more than that because it's a new protocol.
Right.
And what that requires is for your agents to be able to talk to the MCP resources, and then the MCP gateway provides that governance layer, so it allows which tools under the MCP umbrella can you talk to, how do you talk to those tools, what operations can you do under those tools. So it's an extra layer of complexity that needs to be governed properly, that the API gateway definitely is not going to give you out of the box. An AI gateway is not enough. So you need essentially what we call the triple gate pattern for MCP. You need the AI conversations protected, you need the API conversations protected, and you need the MCP conversations protected.
And all three of those are premium, and I could see
and all
why.
these are premium.
Give us an example of some of the other premium models.
The other premium,
modules.
yeah, and which is really around API lifecycle management. As everything is becoming an API, so your LLM endpoints are being exposed as APIs. Even your MCP endpoints become exposed as APIs. You have an API management problem, or you have an API proliferation problem. So what you need is a full lifecycle management of that. That means your APIs need to be versioned, controlled, they need to be sunsetted, they need to be deprecated. You need to provide rate limits and quotas. So there's a layer of defense.
This is why you have a true sort of gateway that controls all of that,
right,
rather than just an API to API. Just
correct.
A direct connection, if you will.
Plus, you also need to share those APIs with your community of developers. They could be internal, they could be external. Yeah. So this is where a developer portal is needed. So all those things come under the umbrella of API lifecycle management.
Got it.
Now the beauty of this, going from open source to all these extra paid capabilities, it takes 30 seconds to do the upgrade. And it's an in-place upgrade that you would do. It preserves all the configuration that you do with the open source. And after 30 seconds, you have a new thing, and you have
it's
get
almost
exposed
like
to all of
a
these
mesh layer that sits on top of the pure open stack, if you will. I'm wondering, so it's not like, so people host this and run this themselves. It's not, because that's another model, right, in open source, where I'll take my open source and I'll run it as a SaaS, so you don't have to worry about it. We will.
We provide a self-hosted model.
It's a self-hosted.
So people usually deploy this on public cloud. So because we're Kubernetes native, they can deploy it on any of the public Kubernetes distros. So AKS, EKS, GKE, OKE, LKE. But they can also deploy this on-prem in a completely air-gapped and offline environment.
Okay, so it doesn't even need connectivity at that point.
No, it does not. And people can deploy it at the edge. We are natively integrated into K3S with Rancher. They can deploy this in a bigger environment. You name it, like it works seamlessly everywhere.
Excellent. And so does it requires Kube though?
The Kubernetes native, that if you're deploying it in Kubernetes, yes, it's going to require Kubernetes, but because we started in 2016 when Kubernetes was not even around, we have had native integration with many different alternative ways of deploying microservices, starting with just bare metal Linux.
Okay.
And then came HashiCorp Nomad.
Yep.
We can be deployed just as a Docker container, or we could be deployed in Kubernetes.
Okay, got it.
And we can even be deployed in Windows, if you like.
Listen to that. Oh, you're the first one to mention any deployment of Windows.
People don't
today.
talk about the W.
No, they don't. It's the year of the Linux desktop. But anyway, did we mention the website?
We did. Traffic.io.
Say it again for me.
TRAEFIK.io.
.io. And look, I would imagine you could go to GitHub or any other, or Traffic.io and download the open source package and install it yourself.
Yeah, it's on GitHub. You can download it through a Helm chart. There are many ways to install it.
Absolutely. And then once you're up and running, putting in the premium modules, as you said, the 30-second exercise.
It's a Helm chart update. Takes 30 seconds, and you're good to go.
Excellent. I can't. Well, let me ask you, what has the show been for you this year?
It's great. It's great. We announced actually some great stuff this week.
What did you announce?
So there's with everything we just discussed, there is a fragmentation problem happening now in the industry. It's a big realization people are having that virtual machines are not going away.
No.
So there's going to be a coexistence of virtual machines and containers, and now serverless workloads as well. But
they're not mutually exclusive.
They're not mutually exclusive, but the way people manage them are very independently and differently managed. The way you manage a VM stack and the way you expose your services running inside a VM is very different than the way you expose and manage a Kubernetes.
Yeah.
So what we have launched is a unified layer, which we call the application layer intelligence, that connects the VM environment and the Kubernetes environment and also the serverless environment, we launched
So
support
you
for
can manage
Knative.
all three.
So you can manage all three in a very cohesive way. And it's through a single application layer, which is a layer 7 construct, and you can seamlessly redirect traffic, because what's happening is, as monoliths are being decomposed into microservices, your backend might be sitting in a VM, but your front end is going into Kubernetes,
Absolutely.
right? But it's still the same application.
Yep.
So at the application layer, when a traffic comes in, you want to have that intelligence so you can seamlessly direct traffic.
To where
Either
it
it goes
is.
left or right or somewhere else.
I mean, with containers, they literally could be distributed anywhere, right? It's not just...
Right. And we did the integration with Nutanix as a reference architecture,
Oh, very
because
cool.
Nutanix as a platform does a great job of providing a virtualized environment and the Kubernetes environment. You know, so they have their AHV with flow networking for virtual
Right.
machines. We have done the integration with them, and what that allows users to do is to auto-discover all the virtual machines that are running, so then they can write policies against
into
it. We are already working with them in their Kubernetes distro, and we can auto-discover services running there. And now with Knative, with serverless, they are the perfect reference architecture for this solution.
Excellent. Any other announcements here?
Just that we, on the Gateway API, you know, which is on everybody's mind here, we continue to lead support on that. You know, we provide same-day support for the latest version 1.4. Our founder and CTO and other team members, they're part of the community, actively working with the Gateway API community and advancing it forward. So, you know, that's one of the other big announcements, that we continue to, open source is important for us, it's very strategic for us, and we continue to invest in that.
I love it. All right. I think we're about out of time here. I think we hit most everything. Is there anything we
I
left
think so.
out?
No, just, you know where to find us, traffic.io.
Very cool. Thank you very much
Hey,
for being
thank you,
here.
Alan.
Enjoy the rest of KubeCon. Hey, we're going to take a break. We've got, well, we probably have another 2 hours or more of coverage here at KubeCon today. We'll be back again tomorrow. But let's take a quick break. We'll be back in a moment. Hey everyone, we're back here live on the floor of Techstrong. We're Techstrong, but we're back here live on the floor of KubeCon, and you're watching Techstrong TV. It's been a long 2 days. Let me introduce you to my next guest. His name is Ido Niemann. Ido is with Firefly, and if you haven't heard of Firefly, don't worry, you're going to. But first, Ido, welcome to Techstrong TV. It's great to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
So, let's talk about you first.
All right.
Give us the Ido Niemann story.
So I feel at home on the Techstrong floor within the bigger KubeCon Atlanta.
It's this little gray area right here.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel at home because generally I'm a nerd. Grew up around computers. Served 12 years in the Israeli cyber intelligence.
8200 or?
Something a little bit better, 81.
Oh, 81, okay.
Yeah. The less digits you get, the better it is.
Okay.
So then I led technology for a prominent Israeli hedge fund.
Okay.
Then I had a startup in the serverless field. And for the past 4+ years, I'm building Fireflies together with my partner and great team.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And you know, look, for those of us in the industry, not for nothing, but that's a pretty typical Israeli entrepreneur story, right? I meet a lot of them. For people not in tech, they're like, wow, but this is of course why Israel's a startup country and these kinds of things. It's what you do there. I've started 4 or 5 companies myself over the years, venture, and I've interviewed hundreds of co-founders and entrepreneurs. No one starts a company lightly, right? Everyone, you put your guts into it, right? And then your passion. Talk to us about what was your passion in doing Firefly?
So back in my army days, we obviously did some very complex technology building, but the scale, it's a nationwide scale.
Right.
We did some very large cyber activities, let's put it this way. So always fascinated by doing large things at scale with efficiency. And back then, we were looking at the outside internet and seeing all the tools and wealth of possibilities. And because we are, air-gapped, we need to build everything ourselves to be military grade, we can only build those. So I remember seeing stuff like infrastructure as code coming to life, wanting it, but need to build our own scripts and internal tools to do it. So, when I got out after a good run, I started coming to shows like this, and this got me pumped about the possibilities, but also to start thinking about how we harness all of this, because it is quite a lot. You said the long 2 days and we still have at least 1 day to go.
Yes.
So many different conversations, vendors, technologies, 500 talks outside.
Yes.
So imagine that you come to KubeCon and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to be cutting edge. I'm going to learn everything. You just can't.
You can't anymore.
Right?
There was a time when you could, right? Maybe the first one in San Francisco.
2018, yeah.
Yeah, not even 20, by 2018, that was already, I think, Seattle. It was big. 2016, 2017 maybe, but yeah, now it's 200 projects in CNCF alone.
Yeah.
It's a lot to wrap around.
So when you say passion is about, hey, let's build the best technology, let's make it scalable and accessible and simple, but also let's allow the end users to actually adopt what's happening here. Because everyone wants to create the new shiny CNCF incubation project. Everyone wants to be, hey, I got the next 10,000 stars and everyone loves me and I'm great, right? Everyone, but at the end, we want people to use our technology.
Right.
We want the end customers of the end customers to gain value out of it. So at some point I said, hey, I think this is both interesting, hard, and might be useful to the world.
I love it.
Yeah.
Now, if I had to ask you, define Firefly's mission. You talked a little bit about your passion and how it relates to that, but crystallize it, and you go, look, this camera's on you. Give them Firefly's mission, its reason for being.
Our mission is to make cloud simple, managed, and controlled. So Firefly is an agentic cloud automation platform. Basically, we help you understand everything that runs in your cloud, because as mentioned, 200 projects, 500 vendors, so many practitioners. How do you even know what you have in the cloud? We just saw it 3 weeks ago. We're now talking in November, but in late October of 2025, we saw two major outages by AWS and then by Azure, right? So now we know that everything runs on the cloud. You can say AI is the most important thing. I don't disagree, but I say AI runs on the cloud. This is why you see all those large AI companies sign deals with cloud. So cloud is the most important mission critical thing we have in our lives. For us, computer nerds, we couldn't get DoorDash to deliver a lunch, so we know something bad happened. So important, but it's so complex, it's so expensive, it changes so fast. How do we control and automate it? We don't have one place, one system of record to see our cloud. So this is cloud, agentic cloud automation platform. We connect to everything in your cloud seamlessly, within minutes. We see everything from Oracle to AWS, GCP, Kubernetes, your Datadog, your MongoDB, everything that is cloud related, we see it in one place. Then we sweep in and we tell you over the system of record what's properly controlled and codified, what's governed, what's managed, what's looking like you want it to look like versus unmanaged or misconfigured. Once we establish this, we bring you a bunch of automations. It can be full agents, it can be AI-driven automations, it can be quote-unquote old legacy algorithm-based automations to solve your problems, from deploying to the cloud, to govern it, automating it, and up to recover from an incident like we saw 3 weeks ago.
Excellent. Good. That was good. I wanted to get right, make sure before we forget. Firefly, the website?
Firefly.ai.
.ai.
You can't do it any other way today.
Good.
.com is for boomers.
Easy.
Except for DevOps.com.
Right, except for DevOps.com and PlatformEngineering.com. Though we do have AI and IT ones too. There you go.
You see.
Yeah, well, we like to spread it around. But let's talk, so now let's fast forward, right? We understand the problem that you're solving, a little of the history and passion. As the company exists today, right? And we live, yes, cloud's very important. Agentic AI is probably very important now, will be more important next year and the year after. Where is the company, like when you're talking to people here on the floor today, what are the conversations you're having? What are we talking about?
First, we're talking about where are the best parties post the conference, right?
Wow, that's the most important thing.
Yes, of course. The second thing, if you want to take the AI route, one thing that we've noticed, and we actually learned about it from our customers, not that we found it ourselves, is that today application software is being written by AI. Mm-hmm. Everyone uses Cursor or Copilot or Cloud Code or doesn't matter what, right? But when we talk about cloud infrastructure, it's still being run manually with ClickOps or line-by-line Terraform, OpenTofu at best. It doesn't make sense. How come all my back-end engineers and front-end engineers are writing to Cursor, hey, help me do this and that, I'm now writing application and the agents do it, but the infrastructure that powers it all is still old way. It doesn't make sense. So people are looking for ways to integrate AI into infrastructure management. We see it through our MCP server. So MCP servers allows you to use your Cursor, your Cloud Code, your GitHub Copilot in tandem with Firefly, so you just talk to your AI assistant, hey, I want to now deploy this application into AWS US East 1. What do I need to change? Goes to Firefly, it see, and it solves it. So this is one thing. Moving from manual scripted cloud ops into AI and agentic cloud ops, just like software engineering moved it. This is the first thing. The second thing, as I see it, is how to incorporate agents into your day-to-day workflows. Because everyone wants it, right? After every single board meeting, you'll see the CEO coming to the CTO, which come to the VP, which come to the developer. We need more AI. Now, if you don't adopt AI, you're fired. If you adopt AI and you make mistakes, you're fired.
Yeah.
I don't
So
like those.
either way, you're fired.
Probabilities are bad.
Right.
But what happened? So if you remember 2 months ago, a vibe coding solution created an application, deployed it to the cloud, changed it, and then it deleted a production database.
Lied about it.
Yeah. I'm here to talk about the good stuff.
Okay, go ahead.
I'll leave you to talk about the more problematic stuff later, yeah? So it deleted it. Now everyone say, hey, we can't use the agents and vibe coding in production. It's nice for your hobby. I want my grandma's recipe application. Right, cool. But I won't let it run.
Not mission critical.
Right, my trading solution. So what do we need? Because at some point, we will need agents to do it because we don't have enough platform engineers, DevOps engineers out there, SREs to do it. We will have it. What are we lacking? We're lacking context. I need the agents or the AI-driven automation to know that this database is being used by other teams, maybe deployed on other lines of business, other continents. How do I know it? If I have this system of record for cloud, this is the first thing I know. And the second one is guardrails. So as we see it, when we talk to the market, we see AI is being treated like a very good protege or an intern. You want it to do stuff, but only to some extent. So you say, hey, AI deploy to dev account, maybe to staging, but you don't deploy to production. So you need a guardrail that says, hey, agents can deploy to staging, but when it comes to production, you must have a human in the loop, so it opens a pull request for you to do a code review for it. And so all of these types of limitations. So to wrap it up, we need to adopt AI in our infrastructure management and operations and not just for application, because usually infrastructure moves faster than application development. And the second one is have the context and the guardrails to really adopt agents into platform engineering.
I love it. So, so that's what should happen, right? The world's full of what should happen. But that's not necessarily what happens. Now, and Firefly's mission is to make sure that happens, or to help make that happen.
Enable it.
Do you see, and one of the things I see, look, I've been in technology a long time, right? I got the .coms. But there's a gap between what should happen and when it happens. How big a gap is that? This vision you have of how this should work, when are we going to actually see that?
So, many people ask me why we have agentic cloud automation. So the first thing is that they don't let us into KubeCon floor, Techstrong floor without agentic in your name.
If you
right?
don't got AI, you don't have,
Exactly, but because everyone is talking about it, everyone wants it, but we're still in the gearing up stage.
Right.
What I talked about, the context and the MCP, this is reality. We have many customers, I'm not talking about a handful, we have many customers who are today consuming Firefly with an MCP first mindset.
Really?
So no UI, no API, MCP first. And I'm not talking only about the cool kids from Silicon Valley running the AI shops. I'm talking about some very large enterprises,
really?
Legacy enterprises, Fortune 500s, and I love seeing it because it means that it's now, it's mainstream.
Yeah.
We are at the height of it, and it's great. For the actual agents to deploy, it will take some more time because not enough context, not enough guardrails, and we can still...
And not enough trust.
Exactly.
I think that's it too. But that's interesting that you have MCP first. Because you think about it, MCP came out about a year ago now only.
Makes sense, yeah.
December, I think, last year. And now we think about it, we talk about it like it's been here forever, but it's not even a year old. But here you are selling MCP first.
I think that, you don't need me to tell you how successful those big AI companies, but even the companies like Cursor and Windsurf, they're so popular. And every developer, software engineer today asks themselves, how can I get better? How can I get stronger? And if you don't do it, it's not that you're getting better. It's like inflation. Your power goes down, right? So everyone, even just to keep up,
it's just table stakes at this point.
And now the platform teams, the SRE teams, they say, hey, we are now behind because they have it writing code. But what about our infrastructure? What's the difference? Code, as a new code deployed for application, is most often new. And it's similar. Every company's, every organization's infrastructure is a snowflake. And it comes, if you're not a 5-person startup, you come with a very big baggage that you need to carry with you and understand and tap into. So this is why it was harder for them to do it. So if you allow them to run as fast as the application teams, they just embrace it. And they love it, and they come back to the CIO, hey, you told us to adopt AI, we're adopting it, see how cool is it? Hey, I'm talking to the MCP server, show me all drifts in my account, Firefly fixes it, hey, here's a misconfiguration, let's use AI to solve it. So Firefly finds the problem, the MCP creates the solution, then we bake it into infrastructure as code, we deploy it, people just love it. It's, the future is here. We're living in a place where everything can be quick and effective.
It is an interesting time to be alive. Yeah. I will say that, boomer or not. Ido.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Ido Neiman, Firefly, here on Techstrong TV, on the Techstrong TV floor, as far as the eye can see. We're going to take a break. We're back with more. Stay tuned. Hey everyone, we're back. We're here at KubeCon Live. It's Wednesday, it's the afternoon. Well, what is it? Well, it's 3 o'clock already. Let me introduce you to our next guest here and our next interview. I got some tough names. Let me start with the tough one on the end here. Corey.
How you doing? Troy.
Troy. That's why they're tough names. And this is Mary. No, it's not.
No.
Troy, first of all, if you don't mind, look at this camera for this one.
Okay.
But introduce yourself to the audience.
I'm Troy Connor. I'm a senior software engineer at Microsoft. I also help maintain some of the CNCF projects you see out here on the screen. So that's a bit about me.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, they're seeing this way. They don't see this way.
that way.
There's rows and rows of CNCF projects out there. But sometimes I wish we could pick up the camera and just turn it around and pan, but we can't. But Troy, thank you.
Thank you.
This one I practiced a little bit. I'm still going to mess it up. Dunya.
Not quite.
Okay, you say it.
Yeah. Hi everyone. I'm Dunya Shayeluch. I'm a software engineer and part of the community team at Isovalent at Cisco. And I'm part of the maintainers of Cilium, working on that project. Here, part of the Cloud Native Foundation. And I'm also part of the Merge Forward initiative, and that's why we're here today.
I'm going to ask you to repeat just the end of that slowly so to make sure they got it.
Which one?
Just
The Merge Forward part.
The Merge Forward part. So I'm here today to represent the Merge Forward initiative, and that's why we're here today.
Excellent. Now, most of the people out here are not familiar with the initiative. So it's not a name, but what is it?
So Merge Forward is the umbrella behind 7 community groups. This is community driven, and we are trying to build awareness and relationship among the cloud native community, bring more diversity, because in our current world with AI acceleration especially, that's very important to have more maintainers. Maybe you've heard about the burnout of all the maintainers currently happening, and that's very essential that we are building more diverse community in general, but bringing more people into the maintainers track. And diversity and building these kind of groups is very important for that.
So I have some opinions.
Yeah.
I've been involved in the open source community for 25 plus years. For way too long, for far too many years. Maintainers were like, I'm trying to think of the right word, like a silent minority. No one cared. No one ever said, oh, that maintainer, he's working 2 jobs.
Right.
He's got a day job doing whatever they do, and then they got a night job maintaining this open source project. And it's one thing if you got a little neighborhood project, it's something you wrote because it was something you wanted to do for what you were doing, and you just donated it out open source wide. So you had, I don't know, a couple of 100 people maybe were using it. But some of these, as the open source projects blew up, and now, being a maintainer is more than a full-time job. More than a full-time job.
Absolutely.
And so, but no, you know what I learned I went to law school when I was younger. If you're not being paid, it's not a job, it's a hobby.
Yeah.
And too many maintainers, most maintainers, the norm was maintainers didn't get paid. They did it as a hobby. They did it for love of what they were doing, for their, it was a passion, but not a job, because they weren't getting paid. And I think one of the nice things about Linux Foundation, Cloud Native Computing Foundation is all of a sudden, by getting support from a whole bunch of different, parties to the open source community, we have the ability to pay
Pay.
some of the maintainers. No one's getting rich being a maintainer. Let's be real. No one's getting rich.
Yeah.
But at least you get some compensation rather than a pat on the back and an attaboy, right, for what they do. That's where we are. But what do we aspire to?
Do you want to take the question?
Yeah, absolutely. I think even for the initiative we're driving with Merge Forward, I think there's a access problem with how we can actually contribute to open source. So like you mentioned, it's an unsung group of people who are the heroes behind some of the software that are being consumed by everybody. However, because that is mostly driven by different groups of people, trying to contribute from the lowest end is not actually being materialized. What we like to do, and even where my story begins, is actually contributing to open source and driving some of those initiatives to allow ourselves to bring in more diverse people. So it's not just a subset, it's a larger group of people. It's going worldwide to where we're having overlaps and you're not burning out. You have a bigger group of people to help build these systems that are going to be maintained by mostly everybody.
Got it. I want to dive in on that a little bit. You know, like I said, I've been in the open source world a long time. The fact is, back in the early 2000s when I was really involved, and since then, most open source projects have this profile. Maintainers under 6, right? The biggest projects. People who actually contribute code. Usually, in the average project, you can count them on 2 hands, maybe 1 foot, right? 12, 15 people. A really big project, you might have 20 people that actually contribute accepted code to a project. There are exceptions, but on average, people who are even willing to beta test, report bugs, be involved in the community other than just taking the software and using it. 3 to 4% of the total users in the community are active at that level. 3 to 4%.
But that's very intimidating, I think,
It
when you
is.
enter the open source world.
Absolutely.
So that's why it's very important to guide people, to do mentorship. Like this is by these kind of actions that you are enabling new people to contribute, I feel.
Why do you think they're intimidated?
I think that this is a world where you need to understand the code, not the proper software, but like the general code of how to behave.
Etiquette.
Yeah, that's the word, I think. And understand how to communicate with people, async, what kind of language are you using, how do you formulate feedback or questions, just being open and not feeling the imposter syndrome, understanding code base and asking questions, not being shy, all these stuff that can be difficult for people, but if they are guided, I feel they can go ahead,
So I don't mean to be insulting, so don't take it the
I
wrong
hope
way.
no.
But from what you're describing to
Yeah.
me, that fact pattern transcends open source. That fact pattern describes why we don't have more women
I don't think
in technology.
Yeah. I think
and
it's
in
not only
software.
about women here.
Or diverse groups.
Yeah, I think it's more about diverse, and I realized that actually this week especially, because so under the Merge Forward initiative there are 7 groups, and there is one about the blind people
Yes.
and visually impaired, and one of the person couldn't come to the KubeCon because he didn't have someone
to work with him.
Exactly. So that's why it's not only about women, but it's also about like trying to bring the right tools to the right people so they are actually able to contribute and come to this kind of event too, and being part of the community. So it goes beyond all of that I said before, but there are also this dimension.
But I do want to add to that as well, because I think when people talk about contributing to open source, they think it's just code.
Yeah.
There are like
It's
a lot
not.
of non-code contributions. You can come to a meeting and take notes and become a scribe. You can actually, host a session. You can mentor people and understand the process. So even for underrepresented minorities, like the Deep Roots organization under Merge Forward, their process isn't really defined because the contributor ladder exists, yes, but to get into doing that, I think it's a barrier of entry most people are not familiar with. So at times, there's people working all over the country that work for software industries, right? But they may not do things in a way where it's viable for open source. They may work at an enterprise company where they don't share or even communicate because they get their things top down, whereas open source, you're in a community of people who want the same thing for achievement.
Fair enough. What about even just like making bug reports?
Yeah, that's part of
I mean,
it.
I'm not saying,
Yeah.
it's not the pinnacle, right? But it's being part of the community. So how do we flip this on its head, right? How do we say, hey, 50% of the people who use the software do bug reports at least. 10% of the people who are involved in a given project are joining our monthly virtual meetup or virtual, roadmap or what have you. How do we get from here to there?
It's weird because you have to try to build incentives, and that incentive is, the software that they're going to be using, that they're consuming, is not only safe and secure, but trusted. And that trust is built by community, so where that value begins is where the trust starts. And I think that's not only demonstrated with what we do here, but how businesses are built behind that. If you take something like, some companies build their product on open source things and have a relationship with the community because they trust them, right? So if you think about all the technologies here that we're all consuming, we build those bonds and are trusting using the software because we're in the community. And I think that incentive in itself bridges the gap of domain knowledge, diverse talent that we can create, and even, money, which is probably driving a lot of the incentive.
Never underestimate money.
Right.
I get it.
And I think that just to bounce on that, it's by building safe places like we are doing. Like if you go with people like-minded and that you identify to, it's easier, to trust people. And then you can, on top of that, then build software that are trustable and contribute to it. So it's like a virtuous circle then.
Yeah, there's a lot of projects that actually failed to gain adoption because the community was bad.
Yeah.
And refused to, and then make something way better because they have people at the table to discuss those ideas and not willing to shun them from contributing. So I love the fact that this conversation exists because we're never going to stop having this conversation. And I think that helps us broaden the scope of what it means to be a part of the community.
So let me ask you a question. Is the best solution here top down, bottom up, middle out, or all of the above?
It's definitely a mix. It has to be a mix because everybody should be involved. And if it's coming from the people, that's good because they have to be part of it. But the people above have to be supporting and sponsoring that kind of things.
Well, in my mind, if the tree falls in the forest and no one hears it, did it really fall or does it matter? If people don't know about this sort of initiative, will it really do anything? Mm-hmm. In my mind, the first thing I want to go to is the maintainers of the open source project, the leaders of the particular community, and say, hey, as much as you have a duty to make the best software we can here, you also have a duty, and it behooves you, it's in your best interest to make sure your community realizes that we have diversity initiatives in place, that we have safe spaces where maybe people who are not really, experienced in joining in a software community, open source software community, can go at their own pace and feel safe and not intimidated and not beaten down or berated or something like that. I think it's up to the leadership of the community. That needs to be on the front page of the .org site or whatever the site is.
Yeah, yes.
Where it is, in the GitHub notes.
Yeah.
Every project always has its notes, right? It needs to be in there so that if people don't know about it, then it doesn't exist.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying it's both ways, because we have to recruit people to be part of these communities and they have to be aware of it. So we have this power coming from the community, and at the same time, the maintainers have to be aware, because then they can recruit people. So that's why it's very important to have the two ways going on.
Yep. So how do we get the word out at the bottom of it, right, to the people who really need to hear this?
Yeah, that's why you're here today.
Well, I hope you're watching and you're hearing.
Exactly. So so what we're doing is that we are trying to raise awareness among the people in general on Slack channels, but also at KubeCon here, we have a kiosk with the Merit Forward where we are trying to raise awareness to people about the different groups. We have all the speakers, part of the community, sharing a slide at the end of their talks about...
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so we had one on the front stage, on the main stage yesterday.
At the keynote,
At the keynote, and other events and at KubeCon. We also have one community hub where there are sessions for all the communities across the week. So you can join for an hour and talk and share. And there is also a party with the KubeCrawl where you can join and just feeling welcome and connect with people. So this is the kind of thing that is happening this week. But otherwise, there is the Slack channel. People can join whenever they want. We have monthly meeting for the Merge Forward, but also for every group.
Every single group.
And everything is replayable on YouTube. So you can access it.
And even sharing the story, right?
Yeah.
Like when people...
I think it's about sharing. So I will tell you, I don't think it was last year at KubeCon, maybe the year before, maybe it was one of the European ones. We had another group that I'm sure is in this, is the Deaf and Hard of Hearing.
Yeah, it's part of it.
And, that was a fantastic...
Yeah, they did they showed people how to sign and...
Yeah.
And how they jive, how they do their thing within a mixed use group, let's call it, with people who are not deaf and who are, aren't challenged in these ways. But it was really great. It was, if you go on Techstrong TV and go back to past KubeCons, you'll find it in there. The video's still up, and it is a great thing. But you're right. It's an all hands on deck effort, top, bottom, and middle to get this word out. But here's the good news: we're all richer for it, because the more inclusive we are, the wider the base. You don't know who's going to come up with the next piece of code that unlocks something, right? Or is working on tomorrow's problem. And, so we're all better for that. And quite frankly, right, kudos to the CNCF, because they recognize that. And they're willing to put dollars and resources into this effort.
Yeah, I think they understand the value. So
because there is a value. There's a payback.
You probably can't remember the last KubeCon that you were at where they didn't have interpreters doing the slides, right? Because they understood there was a market, not even a market, there was people who needed to understand.
There's a community
that needs that accessibility with all the things. So I think driving forward with this initiative that we're a part of, it just expresses that value for everyone, and I think
agree.
we're better for it.
I agree. So you know what we didn't do, though? You told me there's a Slack channel. You
Yeah.
didn't give us the URL. You didn't give us how to get on there.
Okay.
How do people at home
Yeah.
get involved?
So you can go on the CNCF Slack channel, and then there is the Merge Forward channel specifically, and then there is one for each group. Otherwise, you can go on the CNCF page of Merge Forward, the community group. You can subscribe to the newsletter. You will have all the events, all the community groups, and the best one. So welcome.
I love it. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank
Keep
you.
Thank
doing what you're doing, man. It's
Thank
good
you. I
work
appreciate
you're doing.
that. Thanks a lot.
Check it out on the CNCF page. We're going to take a break. It looks like they're serving popcorn and cupcakes. What could be bad? You're watching Techstrong TV here at KubeCon. everyone. We're back here live at KubeCon. It's Tuesday afternoon. Getting a little punchy. We've been doing a lot of interviews today. They got popcorn and cupcakes out here. It was hard getting me back in this seat, I'll be honest with you. But nevertheless, if there was one person at this event who could get me back in the seat, it's my brother from another mother here, John Willis. John, welcome.
And you owe me $1, right?
And I owe you $1. I owe you $1. I tried to throw the bag in the garbage can. I shot it like I was from Indiana or somewhere and missed. Anyway, John,
Hey,
pleasure to have you
It's always
on.
great to be here. It's been a little while since I've been on the.
It has been. It has been. You've been busy and running and running around.
But,
Let me introduce you to the man in the middle, though, playing the 5 spot. Just checking how much you know about basketball.
Yeah,
there.
I know.
All right.
So
Oliver Eichenberry.
yeah, so glad to be here. Glad to be able to come and talk to you guys. Oliver Eichenberry. I'm a principal architect with Liatrio. We're a small boutique consulting firm that specializes in DevOps transformations at large-scale enterprise organizations. We really focus in on building with, not for. So we come into an organization, we do value stream mapping sessions, we really get to understand the client and where their problems lie and what they're doing. And part of what I do and what I drive the most is I lead our platform engineering initiatives. So I'm really focused on how to build great platforms that support delivery for these organizations and really leaving them in a better spot so they can continue forward faster and on their journey to provide value for their customers.
I love it. Let's do a little digging here, though,
Sure.
Oliver. That was a great segment, but we got to, put it into chunks that people are going to grab. Let's start with the name of the company.
So, Liatrio, so there's this flower called the Liatrius flower. And Chris Blackburn, our CEO, when he was founding the company, he saw that flower, he kind of liked that name. It grows in the desert, it grows in a lot of different places. It's a very beautiful flower. But he also wanted the .io domain name. So the Liatrius flower, Liatrio.io, and that's kind of where the convergence of the name came from when he formed the company.
Very cool.
And
so
it also
Liatro.io or Liat.io?
We own multiple domain names, but that was kind of the synthesis of the Liat.io, so Liatrio, on a play on name. And the common name for the Liatrius flower is Blazing Star. And we are blazing stars and really drive and shine a light on a lot of things that we do with the organizations that we work with. So
you're telling me the company's founded on flower power?
yeah.
you might say that, but yeah.
I love it. It's a lucky thing you got both domains because the .io is supposed to be going away, right?
Yeah.
Thank God you did them both back then.
We've had that for
pre-essence.
probably 10 plus years at this point.
Yeah?
So
Very cool. So we mentioned the domain name, we mentioned what you do. I just want to make sure we get our housekeeping out of the way. John, you haven't been on in a while. Give people a quick update on you.
Yeah, so I finished a book that I worked on for 2 years. It's called Rebels of Reason. It's the history of AI. If most of you, I wrote a book about Dr. Deming. I've found this rhythm of telling stories like historical IT, but taking complex subjects so that everybody can sort of understand them. And I finished that. It's been out almost a year now. And right now I'm fascinated with quantum computing and how that's going to invade, probably not until at least 5 years, but I think now's the time to start preparing for it.
Your day is coming.
But speaking of Liatrio, I've known Chris Blackburn from the earliest DevOps days. Him and Damon Edwards worked together.
Yep.
Okay.
And so when Damon was moving away from moving more into product and moving his very successful consulting business, he partnered with Chris, and a lot of that stuff that Damon had built on some of the best value stream mapping stuff that's ever been out there, Chris took that over. And I've just watched Chris over the years build a culture, and in all transparency, I am working as a consultant, helping some of their sales team right now. But I've been a fan of Chris's, what he's built, because the truth is, regardless of whether I'm getting paid or not, they've been always doing DevOps the right way from the beginning. And I think what's fascinating now is, as we're seeing everybody want to do AI native and how I do that, those principles are more important than ever. And again, that's why I've sort of decided I want to do some work with them, because I think it's fascinating to use those principles that we know work we've all been sort of talking about for 15 years, and stay away from the people who are just going right into AI and using none of the things we've learned over the last 15 years. So yeah, that's sort of my story around why we're here, or I'm here.
Excellent. All right. So guys, let's dive into it though, right? Just when we thought we were getting our arms around DevOps, right? It's real, we know how to turn the dials, we know what dials to turn, or we think we do. You know, we got to the top of the mountain, and hopefully it's a little bit more of an easy sail now. This AI thing comes along, right? It's the theory of constraints in real life for us. And everything you thought, you know, let's throw the cards back up in the air and see where they land this time. Oh, and let's mix in a little platform engineering, some cloud native. Hey, maybe even we'll talk about a little quantum down the road. You ain't seen nothing yet, right? Basically, we haven't solved nothing. Oliver. Well, in one way, I guess it's what gets you up in the morning, saying, hey, I got a fresh mountain to climb.
Right.
On the other hand, there got to be days where you say, geez, does it ever get easier?
Yeah, it's both of those, because I mean I've been pretty focused on platform engineering in that space for the last 2 to 3 years, owning and driving that, figuring out how to really drive how that connects to DevOps, because a lot of people say DevOps is dead, platform engineering is the new DevOps, and that's where the principle of, and Liatrio really drives this, DevOps is a culture, it's a philosophy, it's not a thing.
And it always was.
Do DevOps, and
let's
that's
be
what
clear.
it is
Right.
at its purest point. And so I get up and I look at what's new in the platform space, and all of a sudden there's this new thing with AI over here that's going to solve all my problems. But I look at that and I go, well, that's just actually, the foundations of a platform still exist. I still need a place to run all those agents, run MCPs, and interact with all the existing systems that exist today and manage those. So now I get up and I go, oh, how does AI inflect and change in the space? And we have a whole team that's run by Robert Kelly, our VP of Innovation at Liatrio, now that is an innovation team. They are focused on what the next thing looks like in the space around agentic development and how to get that and transform organizations in that flow. And the struggle I have is, it is too much. AI moves so fast at this point that you can't just go buy a tool or subscribe to any one LLM or other area and say, that's it, I can stay there. It moves too quickly now. So the struggle I have and the pain is like, you have to keep up. It's a constant like hamster wheel effect now.
It is.
In that space.
The problem is you can burn out on a hamster wheel.
Hey,
yes.
I wanted to make a point that, you know, why the fundamentals matter, right? And today's keynote, the guy from OpenAI, great story. So this is OpenAI, and he talks about how they're logging, he did some performance review. So you think about all the stuff that has to happen to get us ChatGPT and GPT-5 and all that stuff. They have to log. They have metrics all over the place. Of course they have that, right? And he talks about how they evolved into that. But then he shows this, and I think the presentation lies, how one line of code is saying 50% CPU utilization across the board. And basically what he found, going back to the fundamentals are always going to be here no matter what we build with AI. He found through basically some perf tools that there's a library in one of the new, Fluent, BitFluent or whatever, that was doing an fstat, just a basic, C library fstat to get metrics from a file to log that was happening in an iNotify routine as part of the kernel. And he literally made an open source change that he could toggle that fstat, and he saved 50% CPU utilization across all OpenAI. This is
Really?
like, so as we're talking about AI native,
CPU or GPU?
no,
or
CPU,
both?
CPU. But as we're talking about open, Claude Code and all this stuff, it's all fascinating, but the fundamentals are never going away, and that's a case in point where like 50% utilization at OpenAI is solved by a true understanding infrastructure I/O at all levels.
Right.
So let me talk fundamentals. Fundamentally, if it's costing you $1 for every 20 cents I give you, you got a fundamental problem here. And I think that's, to a certain extent, where we are with this AI. There's a lot of platform engineers and a lot of DevOps folks and a lot of developers who are saying, ain't this grand? Ain't this grand? until they get that first bill for tokens,
Yeah.
Right.
token usage and so forth, right? I think I'm not anti-AI. I use AI more than most people, I bet. But I don't know if we have industrialized, I guess is a good word, industrialized its usage at scale in a sustainable, and I'm not talking about energy,
Right.
sustainable from a business point of view manner. And you know what, Oliver, you're fighting the fight on the front lines of this, right? You're like a firefighter in California here, but is it a wildfire, or is it something we can get a hold on?
I think we're seeing emerging trends and patterns with like Claude Flow and some of these things that are really enabling an individual engineer to have multiple agents go do things and help them do things faster, produce things that they can review faster. So we're seeing that acceleration at the local engineer level. All the tooling is very focused to that. But we're starting to see emerging pockets and parts in the market now, like at GitHub Universe just a few weeks ago, where they announced,
Sure.
oh, I can run my agents in GitHub space and they'll manage those agents for me. Where in order to really unlock and go from 10xing an engineer to 10xing an entire organization to really get to that value you're talking about from a business perspective, we have to figure out how to give the engineers the ability to use these new tools in a shared way, because AI is context. Context windows, figuring out the context, parsing what you need to do to get the right results out of it, because it's undeterministic in a lot of cases. So as we figure out how do we scale that and say, oh, this agent is really good at producing these things in this organization, and it's referencing what I've already built as a fundamental in my organization, and how do engineers, are they able to share using that, spin it up in a collective way, versus having to only do it at the level of their machine and what's going on.
Right.
So we're seeing emerging things, and that market's moving that direction, but it's still so open as to what you can do and how you can figure out how to do it.
Well,
and what's
it's
going
Wild
on.
West, and
It's very wild and open.
We're still creating the maps, if
Yes.
you
Yeah.
will,
But
before sailing the ocean.
There was at DevOps Days Dallas. There was a gentleman from I think one of the car, like EDS or whatever sort of.
One of the third-party
Yeah,
partners.
that's right. And he was talking about economics of token, not just sort of token costs and tracking that, but we're starting to see what's happening is FinOps
Yes.
is getting involved.
Yeah.
And FinOps is sort of mandating, like, don't explain it to me. You just need to explain these costs. And so I think, like everything we do, you're right. It's very dangerous. The token cost can get like scary really fast. But we saw some of this in cloud. Like everybody raced out to the cloud, and then we figured out some cloud economics.
Efficiencies.
Right.
Efficiencies.
And we sort of.
And that's, by the way, that's not a technology thing.
That's
You
right.
look at any innovation, first you do the innovation, then you figure out the efficiencies of it,
That's
right?
right. That's right.
When you look at Big Pharma, when they do experiments on new drugs, first they figure out, does it work? Then they figure out how much is it going
What's
to
the
cost, and
economics,
how do we optimize its efficiency? And I think that's where we are in this.
Early
But
on.
let me bring up another fundamental for you, and it's really important to every single person in booth here at this event. At the end of the day, is it about using AI to make our platforms better, to make Kubernetes better, to make observability better, to make DevOps better? Or is it, in order to use AI, we've got to reinvent all of those things I just told you. Platforms, we need platforms that are optimized for AI inference and or training. We need Kubernetes isn't going to be the orchestrator for AI applications. We need something, call it native AI, that is going to orchestrate my AI stack. Because is AI going to create a new stack that renders everything you see here obsolete? Or do we make this stuff the stack for AI? What do you think, Oliver?
I think it's both. I think is there a whole new stack for AI? We don't know yet. That is an undiscovered country that I think all of these engineers that are like really playing with this and pushing the limits and boundaries of what AI can do, they will figure that out. That will emerge on its own as it happens in the space. And likely we won't see it till it happens. In terms of like runtime for AI, when you talk about that, like there's a huge push into using Kubernetes to run AI and
There
ML
is.
workloads.
That's right.
But are we pushing rope up the hill on that?
Maybe. There's other organizations that are spinning up entire data centers just for GPUs. So they're data centers that are just
$3
racking and
trillion
stacking
worth.
GPUs to then enable people to run that, and they're building declarative Kubernetes stacks on top of that. I honestly still go back to even the lower fundamental of that, of how compute works. Kubernetes is great for scale. If you don't need that scale, what do you use it for, and how do we look at? So it's a kind of a non-answer, but I think we have to look at both perspectives and be prepared to shift one way or the other and what's right. Because really what AI is doing is it's giving us the ability to build larger shared context, put more information into the system, and build bigger, better things and solve bigger problems. And so that platform will emerge. But in order to do some of the stuff in the experiments, we have to provide a space for people to even try those experiments. So that's where when we look at what organizations that are getting into AI, they're like, well, which tools should we buy? And we're like, give everybody access to all of them. Don't sign a 3-year agreement with ChatGPT. Sign a 6-month agreement. Give them access to the different tools, because everybody's workflow is different. And that's the unique part of this change, is that you can't really put it in a box. It's too dynamic at this point.
All right. I think that I love that question, Alan, because we were just on a Tech Field Day podcast, and we had a good debate about this. And there's sort of there's two ways to think about it. One is we can look at the proof that OpenAI and Anthropic are all running Kubernetes to run the largest infrastructure, and I'm certain Google does too, right? For Gemini. So that kind of tells you that maybe the hammer and nail is never going to change. But the beauty now is companies can step back and do things they've never been able to think about doing, and because the cost of writing your own has always been the maintenance of it. But now the same things that are solving that I can do things in a week that normally took teams 6 months to do, it's the same acceleration for maintenance and update. So I think there's an opportunity to organizations. One other story I've heard a few times is some of these larger organizations, instead of sort of getting rid of some of their classic developers, are looking at some of these big ticket ELAs, not saying Workday specifically, but like, could we rewrite Workday? Could we rewrite Workday for us and build it specifically so it works for our organization? And some of those are like, let's try, right? So I think there is a world where somebody might look at Kubernetes and say, you know what? We've been forcing ourselves down this thing. Let's prototype an alternative. And by the way, there have been some good alternatives that have died not because of technology, but because marketing. Nomad from HashiCorp
was too syndrome.
Well, but even in the platform space, Swarm from Docker and Nomad, those were perfectly legit, solve 80% of the problems that went away for non-technology reasons.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is that a lot of these AI tools make using Kubernetes easier. Because Kubernetes is, everybody can say Kubernetes is easy, but then you get an SRE, can stand up next to them, Kubernetes is not easy. Type of scenario. So that's the other thing.
That's a good point.
These tools give you better shared context of how to work with that thing. Yeah. So I get to your point, John, they don't have to worry about managing Kubernetes. They're more worried about building their app and their workload, and then they start to question, oh, do I need this SaaS tool, or can I build it to the specification of what I need? So it kind of comes back to software's eating the world. It's going to eat the world even more, because we're going to have more people building software with AI.
And the double down on that is that, as I think about listening to all the keynotes at KubeCon today, right? Like I get tainted, like, oh, Kubernetes, come to KubeCon, watch people, thousands of people march around learning how to build Helm charts. But to your point, and the point that they were making in the keynote is, like, all the contributors are now using accelerated AI. So maybe at the end of the day, we don't have to build Kubernetes, because it gets built through an evolutionary role that, like, we're getting better at delivering a better platform based on CNCF or Cloud Native or Kubernetes.
Ideally, a platform is just removing a layer, context load from all the engineers, so they have a place to build their apps that they're creating. So you want to remove that context load. So AI just continues to layer in the ability to bring that context out and further out for them to work with. So,
You know what? It's going to be interesting times, that's for sure, as this plays out.
Definitely.
You're right in the middle of it.
Absolutely. Every day. New articles, my feed gets filled every day. I have an entire separate profile in my browser now that's just AI that all those things go to, and it just stacks up for me to go read.
You're not using an AI browser that does this for you?
I've played with the AI. I've tried using that, but part of the consumption of information for me is I want the details to a degree.
Yeah.
And so I do AI summaries. I've used AI to do deep research on large, complex projects that would have taken me teams of people months to do, down to a few weeks and things like that. So it's about a balance and figuring out the right place to use the tool to build that context.
It's funny on the AI thing, there's a couple of newsletters I subscribe to, and I was using AI completely to do summary. And then one day I went back and I looked and I was like, I looked back on what I'd been doing and it was missing stuff all over the place. And so I reverted now to reading the sort of newsletter summary. To his point, like, yes, the summarization is awesome. Like, take a research paper. Mm-hmm. For me, I'll take a research paper and I'll put it in there and say, let me know if I need to read this.
Right.
But on things I actually want to know the details, I find myself falling back to less summary mode.
I love it.
Yeah.
Guys, we're about out of time.
Yeah.
Oliver, it's a pleasure meeting you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Indiana's a big basketball place.
There you go. New York's okay too.
It was the New Yorker in me that just, you say that, I'm going to tell you, look up to see how big that building is before I snatch your wallet. John, always a pleasure.
That's good, yeah, it's fun stuff.
We're live at KubeCon. We're not done yet today. Stay tuned, we got more. Hey everyone, we're back here at KubeCon. We got a little bit more to do here on our day 2 coverage. My next guest is named Ari Zilker. I hope we got that right. And Ari's company name is?
My Decisive.
My Decisive. You may not have heard of My Decisive or Ari, but hopefully by the end of today, or the end of this interview anyway, you will. Ari, before we discuss My Decisive, let's have a little discussion, kind of, give us your journey to being here, at My Decisive.
Sure. So, My Decisive is a proactive operations product. I got to the ideas and founding this company because I was one of the general managers at a little company called New Relic.
Sure.
For 5 years before that. Before that, I was a general partner at Coastal Ventures.
Sure.
Then, working backwards, helped found Hortonworks, and then helped start Terracotta EH before that. And then, first stop on my career was chief architect at Walmart.com.
So I'm old enough to remember most of those, right?
Okay.
Look, for those kids out here, right? Hortonworks kind of defined the big data, right? That was the big data
Absolutely.
Age with Hortonworks, which was a spin-out from Yahoo.
Yep, correct.
Yeah, and interesting stuff indeed. New Relic has had an interesting also story of, look, it's rode the waves of this market from APM to observability to, a lot of different things, but, it affords one a real opportunity to see what's in the market. Every founder I've ever spoken to, there's a passion for what they're doing. Somehow they think it's going to make the world better, even in a small way. It may not cure cancer or bring world peace, but in some small way, it's going to make someone's life better.
Yep.
Talk to us about your passion.
Easy. I have a passion for what observability folks call root cause. I'm also a scientist, a traditionally trained engineer, and I'm frustrated with the observability vendors of the world saying this AI or that AI, and now I can do root cause. No one can do root cause. There's a difference between causal relationships between events and correlative relationships. And I'm not going to get into the math of it. I'll just say that I believe that we could do what the customers and the market needs, which is to bring in AI to help IT run more smoothly at lower cost. But I believe that the answer is not incident response through LLMs and through AI. And that root cause is the wrong question. It's when you ask a CTO, what takes you down the most? Humans take me down the most. So instead of root cause, why not go after robotic change? Let the system change itself. We don't break it. We bring in the genius chemical human brain to do root cause with analytics tools. But we don't try to get robots to fix systems.
I love it. I think you really framed the problem and the potential solution. No disrespect to you, but all of the booths around us here, and they can't see, they only see this.
Yeah.
A lot of booths here are promising a lot of solutions, and they throw in a little AI snake oil, a little MCP here, and agentic there, and we're going to solve your problem.
Yep.
Why are you different?
So look, I recognize, Alan, we're swimming upstream against what you just described. Why we want to be different is because we recognize from our insider seat in observability, the signal's not in the telemetry data. There is no signal. Like, you deploy an app in a database and the app starts crashing. There's nothing in that data, and every observability vendor knows this, that says it's the app or the database. Roll back the one and the other will heal. That data's not there. All we have is some CPU information, some URLs being requested, and a little bit more than that, some Kubernetes and infrastructure logs. There's nothing that says, oh, fix the app and the database will calm down. So why we're doing this, why we're swimming upstream, is because we know it's technologically correct what we're doing.
Okay.
It is principled approach. Why we're willing to swim upstream against the AI claims is because we can introduce AI the right way.
Because ultimately you think it's the right thing to do and it's going to be borne out.
Yeah. Basically, if you make the changes with a robot, then you can easily ask, was this a good change or a bad change? Whereas if you're looking at steady state operating data and say, did I just go unhealthy? That's an impossible question to answer. Maybe this is normal. And I've heard too many customers say, I deployed an AI and my traffic doubled and it started rebooting me because it thought this was an anomalous situation, but I was handling that traffic and the AI took me down. And so because I know that humans are going to be in the loop for the next 10 to 20 years, because I know that change is an easier problem to tackle, automatic change, than automatic incident response, I'm willing to swim upstream because I think we'll win.
Fair enough. Let's talk about observability for a second, Ari. You've been in the observability space. You've been in the big data space longer than that.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, the problem with observability is fundamentally the big data issue. For a long time, we had too much data to kind of really wrap our heads around, analyze, and come back with actionable intelligence. With things like AI and other improvements, it's not, AI is just the latest, the greatest maybe, but, over the years with machine learning, and what some says AI anyway, but machine learning, other ways we've been able to tackle that big data problem. But in tackling the big data problem, it's the theory of constraints, right? We solve the big data problem only to find out bigger problems sit behind it. For many in observability, that biggest problem is, my God, who can afford this? Right? To really, now that we have the ability to analyze the data, we want to keep collecting more and more data. The more data we collect, the more our costs go up in storing the data, analyzing the data, reporting the data, and it's like an old Star Trek original series when you got to keep feeding Baal, the monster, right? Otherwise he goes out and the whole planet goes to hell in a handbasket. It's the same thing with observability. We got to keep feeding the monster. How do you help with that?
So we come on-prem with our solution.
Okay.
First of all, wonderful question. You're spot on. But if I come on-prem, then I can introduce, you remember Michael Stonebreaker?
Sure.
Database genius? He had Streambase, right? He started swimming upstream. He said, there's a bunch of business problems that need to be solved in the stream in real time. You don't want to land the data to a spindle and then ask a question of it as an analytics query. You want to pose that question of the data as it passes by, observing the change in state. That's what we've built. So our product is Kubernetes native, OpenTelemetry native. In fact, it's going into the CNCF. We can talk about that a bit. But the idea is, if no one's introduced an observability streaming analytics engine. And if I do that, then all of a sudden I'm bringing the power of, we do this in networking, we do this in databases. There's Streambase, there's streaming databases, there are network devices, software devices on the network, Palo Alto networks, F5, big IP, that run at wire speed. They're stateful and you can co-locate the application right there with the data as it originates next to the app. We are one of those. So we are an observability appliance on-prem, super fast, super lightweight, distributes the cost of ownership of the solution to all the edge points instead of trying to be a SaaS that centralizes it and now needs to spend $1 billion a year on AWS and needs to mark that AWS charge up to it and pass it through to its end users.
Excellent, excellent response to that, Ari. Thank you. We got to do a little housekeeping.
Okay.
Website, URL, where can people go get more info?
mydecisive.ai.
For the spelling challenged out there.
MYDEC, I don't know. I can't think of
You're one of the spelling challenge.
DECISIV.
You got to use it in a sentence. Okay. I use mydecisive.com. MYDECISIVE.com.
.ai.
I won the spelling void. AI.ai. All right.
AI.
I still won the spelling.
If you get rid of the dot, it works in sentences perfectly. I use MyDecisive AI to control my production system.
There you
so
go.
It doesn't break.
So it doesn't break.
Yeah.
Excellent. How can people get started?
It's self-service. It's completely designed like when a customer prospect shows up at our front door and we're lucky enough to engage people, we send them to the Slack channel, we send them to the website, we send them to the GitHub. It's all hanging there, top-level navigation off that website.
One last thing. You mentioned joining the CNCF, and I'm going to assume the working groups for OTEL and so forth. When's that happening?
Next week, right after this conference. Yeah.
So stay tuned for that. We may have to report that news, though we just reported it. And besides joining, will you be donating some of the code you're using at MyDecisive?
We're not ready to donate the core code. It is open under a permissive license, and we are part of the CNCF, so we will comply with all their tests and harnesses and their open source policies. That said, we are contributing to OpenTelemetry itself. So last week, there was a missing part in Datadog. And it didn't work with OTEL. We fixed that, gave it, and it was upstreamed in under 24 hours into core OTEL distro.
To them. That must have been a serious problem if they moved that fast on it.
Yeah. The next thing we're doing, we're working with, hopefully going to be able to work with other observability vendors and build what someone else calls enrichment for OpenTelemetry.
Okay.
We're building on-prem storage for OpenTelemetry so you can keep your data in S3 and not be scared to sample it, filter it, or introduce our streaming technology, because you could always grab the raw original and do something with it, whether it's in an open source database or a commercial database, or you forward it back to your observability vendor. All of those modules, those are changes to OTEL itself, and we're contributing those on the OTEL side of the fence, not on the MyDecisive side.
I love it. Ari, thank you so much for coming here on Techstrong TV with us. Continued success. We'll be looking for the announcement about the CNCF, and we'll continue the conversation.
Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Appreciate your time. Hey, we're live here at KubeCon. We've got one more today. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hey everyone, welcome back here to our day 2 coverage, my wrap up of day 2 here on Techstrong TV. You think it's a wrap up, you see this guy sitting next to me, you're saying, oh, Shimmy's doing Techstrong gang. But no, you come to an event like this, you never know who you're gonna meet. I look up from my chair where I've been bolted in all day, and who's walking over here but none other than my friend Sanjeev Sharma. Of course, if you guys follow Techstrong gang, you know Sanjeev is a gang member, frequent guest. But I'll tell you the truth, you know, I started Techstrong in 2013, 2014. We published DevOps.com. And you know, one of the first people who contributed and was part of it was this gentleman right here. At the time, Sanjeev was the field CTO of DevOps worldwide for IBM. And we struck up a relationship. As we did the, I think we were called, not DevOps Days, Jenkins Days, CloudBees Days, and we had DevOps Connect.
Yep.
With the different in-person events we were doing. Sanjeev was always there to do a keynote for us, give us the latest research and findings and feelings of IBM on it. Like all good things, that came to an end. Sanjeev moved on from IBM. I feel like we're doing This Is Your Life, Sanjeev Sharma.
I know, seriously.
Sanjeev moved on from IBM and he went to work at Truist.
No, before that I went to Delphix.
That's right, he went to work at Delphix, a DevOps startup, and did some amazing things there as part of the executive team. Then went to Truist, where he helped the merger and integration of 2 large banks. Then went on to Dell, where he has a senior position in the cloud.
Well, I was the senior vice president of platform engineering.
We platform.
Had the developer platform for all, 15,000 plus developers at Dell.
Absolutely. And then recently, I thought Sanjeev retired to be a venture capitalist. No, he didn't. I knew he wasn't being a venture capitalist, but he's been on Techstrong Gang with us and always happy to give his opinion on the state of tech. But lo and behold, he's here because he's got another job. He's got a new gig. We're happy for him and happy to hear about it. So you don't have to introduce yourself. I introduced you.
I know, crazy, man. I mean, listen, we've known each other for a long time. We've been watching this industry evolve for a long time. So it was time for me to go be a part of a fast-paced AI startup which is focused on solving the problem we've actually been trying to solve for over a decade. So that's how I ended up at StackGen. My official title is VP of Platform and Customer Success.
Beautiful.
I own I'm responsible essentially as, acting field CTO kind of role.
Okay.
Working with customers, which is what I love to do.
Absolutely.
And if I was to describe in one sentence, right, what we are doing at StackGen, if you remember back in 2013, 2014, when DevOps.com started, a couple of articles I wrote were about the impedance mismatch, the speed mismatch between developer velocity and infrastructure or platform velocity. Today, a decade later, it has not been solved still, right?
Yeah.
I think we had reached an equilibrium where developers were somewhat happy with infrastructure speed and infrastructure was somewhat happy with all the pressure from development. But then Gen AI happened, and now what are we seeing? Developer velocity is accelerating even faster. And now it's time for platform to keep up. And that's what StackGen is solving. We are solving that platform velocity issue by, if AI writes your code, AI should run your platform is our thesis. Yeah. And we have agents which can maintain and manage and govern your platform for you. And I'm like, man, this is the place for me. This was like designed for me. So here I am.
It really is. Good for you. I'm really happy for you too.
Thank you, Alan.
Taking a page out of my own VC book, I was never a VC either. But I've been around enough VCs, and I did stay in a number of Holiday Inn Expresses. One of the things VCs look for when they go make an investment is team. What's the team done? Is this a team that's going to execute? Is this a team that could get us where we want it to be? And I think that's one of the strongest parts of the StackGen story, right? You're joining a team here, the CEO, I think it's his 6th or 7th startup. I know I followed him on the last 3 or 4. And it's not just him. The core group CTOs, VP engineering, sales. Been there, done that. Been there, done that, because you know what? You've worked at the biggest companies, Dell and IBM and big banks, worldwide banks. You've worked at startups, but this is a startup juggernaut, right? Their MO is they come in and within 3, 4, 5 years at most, but 3 or 4 years, they've got people knocking on their door to buy the business.
Yeah, I mean, we, as far as customers are concerned, we already have customers knocking on our door, right? And the rest will follow.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, our goal is, the question to ask is, are we solving the customer's problems?
Yeah.
Right, and I've actually known the company for some time now. I've been following them. Other than I've known Sachin, the founder, for several years.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to see was, is it a product still trying to figure out where its place in the market?
Right, so no market fit.
Exactly. Or is it a product where the customers are coming to us and saying, these are my problems, and your product can solve it, and we are doing that. It's an early stage startup, so we've got a long way to go. The product still has to develop and evolve, but we have marquee brand name, Fortune 500 type customers who are already using the product. And one of my roles as VP of Customer Success is to be that bridge between what customers are seeing, how customers want to use the product, and then back with product management and engineering to make sure our roadmap aligns with what's happening in the market.
So it's very much a two-way.
It's definitely a two-way street. That's how I've always seen a field CTO / customer success team. It's not like, take a square peg and put it in the customer's round hole.
Right.
It is like, figure out what kind of hole
and then go
the
back
need of the
and
customer
make
is, what's missing in the customer. Right, and then figure out what out of those can be used in the broader market, right? Because there'll be customers who come with very unique and novel needs which only fit them. For the right customer.
Corner cases.
Exactly, there'll be edge cases always. Obviously we want to serve a large set of customers.
So that was one of the hardest lessons I had to learn in startups, in my startup career, is that you can't build for edge cases. Yeah. You got to build for the market, not the edge. And I don't mean the edge like core.
Yeah, not that edge. Yeah,
right,
he liked that edge.
Yeah, but and I made that mistake. I'm watching Mitch Ashley's out in front of us there. Mitch and I built a platform. We took our vulnerability management tool and turned it on its head for a company for a very unique case. And we spent like 2 whole product cycles. This is when we used to do, a product cycle every 6 months. So we spent almost a year. And we finally made that product exactly what this edge case needed. That company's name was Lehman Brothers. And the year I think was 2007. And they went out of business. It took us a year to build the product for them, for their Lehman Live portal. I'll never forget this. And then, before we could collect the money,
wait, isn't Lehman Live where you go find out what the prices of the CDOs are?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah,
I know what that is.
Classic story, classic. But seriously, that's where I learned that you can't build for the edge cases. You've got to build for the meat of the market.
Yeah, and it requires people who have experience in the market to actually look at an edge case and say, are they just ahead of the curve and everybody else will come here? Or are they truly an outlier?
Right.
And there's a judgment call there, because you might not know.
But this is why I say team is important.
Absolutely. One person cannot know everything. The team is important, and we as a team then need to decide, okay, really analyze and step back and say, okay, let's double click on this. Are others going to do the same thing? And you can query other customers. Customers want to help you also. One of the things I found out, having worked for large vendors, right? I've always been, except for my Truist and Dell days, right. I've always been in client-facing roles, even at IBM, right? The customers also want the startup to succeed, right? When I was at Dell or at Truist and we would acquire a product from a startup, we wanted them to succeed. We were betting on them by definition.
Success,
exactly.
Right.
Nobody wanted to buy a product and then the company is gone, right? Companies don't survive, and then what do you do? And that happens. We can't control that. But it's always a partnership And I think that needs to be fostered properly. And that's why the team wanted to bring somebody like me on, who has actually done that, who's got the battle scars to say, hey, I run platform engineering teams, both in a regulated environment and a highly scaled global environment that brings that experience, and hopefully I can help truly add value as we go forward.
I love it. Sanjeev, we got to wrap up here.
Absolutely.
I want to congratulate you and wish
Thank you
a lot of success with StackGen. As I said, I've followed this company since before they came out of stealth as well. And I think that there's a high probability of success there, and I think you improved that probability. And I'm sure this won't be the last time we have you on talking
Absolutely
about
not.
it.
You're not kicking me out of the gang.
No, well, I got ideas. We're thinking about getting gang jackets, motorcycle jackets with
I like
logo.
that. I like that.
We'll
Maybe
talk.
we should make an album, like a rock album cover or something.
No, I was
get
thinking
together
like
somewhere.
a TV show, like Sons of Anarchy or something.
Nice.
No,
I love
that's
it.
what we need.
Yeah.
Sanjeev, thank you. Sanjeev
As always.
Sharma, StackGen, here on Techstrong TV. Hey, that's going to wrap up day 2. We'll be back tomorrow, though. We've got well, it's not a full day. I think things end at 2 here tomorrow, but we'll be back in the morning, giving it to you live, and we'll be doing wrap-ups. Count on us for your KubeCon information. But for now, this is Alan Shimel. Thanks for watching. We're out. Do not forget to